All right, welcome back to F1 Casuals. It's a big episode. It's our home race preview, the Canadian GP. Well, Quebec's kind of home, I guess. They kind of do their own thing, but they're still Canadian. We got all three of us in the studios, Portland and Halifax. Mike, Greg, good to see you. How you doing?
Doing great. How are you guys doing?
Real good. Excited for this epi and looking forward to an exciting race coming up on the weekend.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. It's a great track. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, named after the Canadian great, of course, not his son. We'll get into that. If you notice, you probably can't because I'm wearing a hat. Half my face kind of looks like I got mauled. I had to beat up some Manchester City fans on the weekend for Mikey. No, I'm just joking. But it was soccer related. I fell on my face. Apparently, I'm not as coordinated as I thought, and I'm losing it. That's what happens, kids. When you get older, you get into your 30s, and you just can't catch balls, and you can't stay on your feet.
Glory days, man. Glory days.
It's rough. It's rough. So Greg's going to have to leave probably about halfway through this episode. I mean, we got day jobs. Just luckily, my day job is in this studio. So, you can't have it all. But we're going to start with a little bit of F1 trivia because we need everyone here. Then we'll get into the GP preview and then a little bit of sprint to the finish line. But first, Boxing Rock. It is 10 to 12. Shit, this is like borderline alcoholic behavior, but it doesn't matter.
Get after it, boys.
It's an indigo blueberry sour. Pretty tasty, actually. Like I said, not a big wheat beer drinker. Most sours have that kind of wheaty aftertaste, but this one, very tame.
Very nice. Very nice.
Get it while it's hot. Great summer beer. Okay, let's get into a little bit of F1 trivia. Last time, big hit. You guys were disappointing at best. So let's see if we can bring it together. This is mainly Canadian GP themed. I've got 5 questions, and I might add a 6th. We'll see what happens. No looking.
Let's get into it. Yeah, no peeking.
Okay, first question. Now, we're almost at the halfway point. Can you believe that? I mean, we missed a race and we're not going to get it back, but we're getting there. We're midway through June, a month and a half from silly season. And Red Bull has won every race so far this season. Now, I was going to make this a 2-parter, but I'm going to start with no constructors ever won every single race in a season. We know that much. But some teams have come pretty darn close. And I will accept 2 different teams for this answer. But which constructor has come closest to a perfect season?
My guesses would be Ferrari and McLaren.
Greg?
I'm going to go Mercedes and McLaren.
Oh, okay. Greg is correct.
Yeah, nice.
McLaren and Mercedes.
Nice.
Do you know the years?
Ooh.
For Mercedes, I don't know. I'm probably not 100% on this, but maybe the year of Rosberg and Hamilton.
2016?
2016, that is correct. 19 wins out of 21 races belonged to Mercedes that year. Incredible
Maybe
stuff.
Senna's second to last year with McLaren, 93?
88.
Greg's on it.
Oh, hey,
1988, McLaren won 15 out of 16 races. Now, that is like 15 to 16 only lost 1, but 19 out of 21 is a higher win ratio, which is why I will accept both answers. And Greg, you got both of them. Great job.
Well done.
Very nice. 1-0. Greg's Hampton.
Yes.
Come for me in the comments, you trolls.
We'll troll you right back.
We're not backing down.
No.
All right, number 2. Once again, this answer is twofold because it's a tie. Who has won the most Canadian Grand Prix?
Michael Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton.
Greg?
7 apiece.
Greg, he sounds pretty confident over here.
Confident guess. I think, Schumi's got to be one of them. And Hamilton's first was in Canada, as we celebrate often. I don't know, Mike, that's a perfect answer. I concede the point.
That's correct. Mike, perfect answer. 7 titles, Lewis and Michael Schumacher. Very nice. 1-1.
Coming for you, Greg.
Okay. Here's one about the younger Villeneuve. What year did Jacques Villeneuve win the Indianapolis 500? Oh, curveball.
1997.
I was going to say 96.
It's 1995. No points awarded. Very close. You're all around it. All right, it's 1-1. We're going to question 4. Where did Gilles Villeneuve... Gilles... I'm supposed to be French. I'm supposed to be Acadian. I can't even speak the language. Gilles Villeneuve.
Gilles Villeneuve.
And where did he win his first Formula One race? So this would be 2 points awarded. It's kind of a two-parter.
What year and where?
Yeah.
I mean, I know where he passed away, unfortunately.
That is part of F1 Trivia After Dark.
Yeah.
It's on our Patreon that we don't have yet.
Coming soon.
Coming soon.
I'm going to say Spa 1976.
Okay. Mike?
Shit.
That's complete conjecture if you haven't picked up on that, listeners.
Yeah. Drawing
Mike's
a
in deep
blank.
thought.
Yeah, drawing a blank. Because I have all the other facts running around my mind.
Yeah. A short career.
Yeah. Cut short.
Cut short.
Unfortunately,
Yes.
Suzuka. I know it's wrong, but I'll just say
What
Japan. I don't even want to speculate. 76.
Okay. Well, it's not great for any of us because it was the Canadian GP.
Yeah.
His first win, folks, in 1978. All right, we're moving on to what's the score here?
No points awarded for that, so
So
I believe we're still tied.
It's 1-1 still. So this could be the tiebreaker. And if no one can get this, then we're going to have to go to the 6th and final question. The first Canadian Grand Prix was held in 1961. However, that was not a Formula One race. It was part of the Canadian Sports Car Championship. So my question to you two is, when was the first Canadian GP held in F1?
60 something, and it was
Oh, I thought,
no 50s, right?
No. I mean,
No?
hey, I don't want to steer you any direction. But if the
See,
first one was in 61, then I don't think the F1 one was in the 50s.
So the first one, first Formula One race was in 61.
No, the first Canadian Grand Prix was in 61, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's like 1968 in Bowmanville, Ontario.
Greg?
Well, I'm going to go the same year as the Summit Series, 1972 in Montreal. That's my guess.
1972. Okay. Well, I don't know if this was on purpose, but it was Canada's centennial.
Right.
It was 1967.
Yeah.
Expo 67.
Expo 67.
Expo
yeah.
67.
That's right.
So it probably was at the Ile Notre Dame or whatever anyways.
Yeah, they purpose built that island. Also, I think there was an Olympic connection as well for rowing and stuff like that.
Nice.
That's that channel that's there, purpose built. But yeah, Expo
Okay.
67.
Expo 67. Okay. It looks like we've got a tiebreaker question coming up because it is still 1-1 after 5 questions. Wow, they're going to hate us for this.
Pretty sad.
All right.
We need to be better.
We need to be better. It's okay. These are kind of tough questions. Question number 6, to win it all. A few years ago, during free practice, not sure which one, an animal ran across the track at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, almost hit by a Ferrari, not hit by anything, made it safely across. What type of animal was this?
Greg?
That's a great question, Mark. I can't stop thinking about that. I think this is in the days of E-Bombs world. This animal didn't make it, and it wasn't Formula One. But do you guys remember that rabbit?
Yeah.
Which is disintegrated?
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
that image out of my head. So I'm, you know what? As an ode to that poor bunny, I'm going to guess a rabbit.
Yeah, that was my guess as well.
A
Except
rabbit.
this bunny made it across the track.
It was not a rabbit. It was a groundhog.
Oh. Oh, and it was just hanging out by the wall in that little
And it just
corner
ran
of grass,
across.
something like that
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
That's a tough one, too. All right. It's a tie. No winners, but that's okay because we're all winners here at F1 Casuals.
We are indeed.
You, the listeners, are the winners today for being able to shred us in the comments yet again for our terrible performance. But hey, we all learned something here.
We did.
Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed playing along with us.
The F1 Trivia Canadian GP edition. You know a few new things about our Canadian hero and our Canadian track. Speaking of, I think it's about time for the Canadian GP preview. Let's get into it, boys. It is, what is it today? Is it Tuesday? Yeah, we're recording on a Tuesday morning, so we are in race week. This is coming out later today because we just love you guys so much. We are 3 days away from first practice, and we got a couple headlines going into it. But Mike, why don't you give us a few, a little breakdown of the history of the GP, a couple facts for us before we get right into the preview.
You got it. The first race held in Canada was in 1967 in Bowmanville, Ontario.
Okay, wait a second. So the first F1 race, it was 67, but it wasn't Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It was Bowmanville. Like
exactly. Yeah.
All right, Greg, you know what that means. It means partial points are being awarded to Mike. Unofficially, officially, he is the winner of this week's F1 trivia. Great job. I know I said we're all winners, but that's a lie. We're all losers, and Mike is the only winner.
I'd like to thank my sponsors, my team, my competitors, my fellow drivers. I couldn't do it without you, and thank you for all the fan support. Yeah, so Bowmanville, Ontario, site of the first or inaugural Canadian Grand Prix. They bounced back and forth between Mont-Tremblant area in Quebec up until the 70s. And for those of you who aren't aware, Bowmanville is kind of about 4 kilometers outside of Toronto downtown. And at that time, it was basically in the middle of nowhere.
It's all condos now, probably.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Or swallowed up by GTA, right? So
yeah, 100%. Who won the first, the 67 race?
Jack Brabham, actually, Australian. Yeah.
Legend.
So, yeah. Very prominent figure in the history of Formula One.
I just said legend.
Yes, legend.
He's a legend.
Aussie. Yes, Jack Brabham.
2 minutes, pussy.
A lot of high quality, a lot of great drivers out of Australia for sure. Yeah, so back and forth to Tremblant, and then to increase the fans and just general, the sport was growing and whatnot. The move was made to actually, you know what? It was original. I think it was going to be. They wanted to do it in Toronto, and it got to the point where it actually went to City Council. It was voted down by 2 votes.
Who are these people?
Really though. So like as we know, the Canadian Grand Prix, it's always been in Montreal,
right?
But that very much could have been somewhere Toronto area, if not for those 2 votes.
Wow, Porter wouldn't have had an airport, I bet.
I guess not, right? It's no city downtown airport, right?
Love that airport.
That very well could have been the area for the track. And then Ile Notre Dame, built in 67 for the Expo. A group came together from Quebec, proposed this as the site for a potential track. They did win the votes or whatever needed. They had the investment to move there. And sure enough, in 1970...
78, I believe.
77 or 78? Was it? Yeah, 78. In 1978.
I only know that because
the inaugural French Canadian Grand Prix, you could say, was held at Ile Notre Dame, and we've been there ever since.
There you go. And it was renamed Circuit Gilles Villeneuve probably shortly after his passing in 1982.
It was, yeah. Unfortunately, Gilles Villeneuve passed away in final practice in Belgium. And
that wasn't even the race. It was practice.
Yeah. It was, I believe it was a final practice or qualifying. I'm pretty sure it's the final practice session, though. And
it was brutal. Don't look it up.
It's a very, very graphic accident. Unfortunately, Jacques was left without a father, but able to carry on in his honor and do all us Canadians proud. But a little bit of history of the Canadian Grand Prix and how it came to be.
Yeah, I think modern fans, new fans, obviously have an understanding or some appreciation of how dangerous the sport used to be, but you don't have to go too far back in our lifetimes to really see those tragic events happening more frequently. And thank God the sport has come a long way. but yeah, Gilles Villeneuve, obviously among the most tragic, and a Canadian icon, obviously.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like you said, Jacques was able to continue and race in his honor and ended up, being world champion. So a lot of people, he's a polarizing character. A lot of people don't like him at this point, but you know what? It doesn't matter. He's Canadian and we support our Canucks. Anyways, back to the Canadian GP 2023, where safety regulations are of high priority.
Yeah.
Who's looking good this weekend? We got Aston Martin getting some upgrades after their worst showing of the year, which is kind of funny because it was 2 top 10s, and who knew you'd be saying that'd be the worst performance for Aston Martin? But it was. They looked a little slow on a track that they thought they would do pretty well at. They didn't really say. We were trying to look up what the official upgrades are. We couldn't find it. I'm sure that'll be broken as soon as people get a look at the car on Friday and a few interviews take place. But I mean, I think, can you imagine if Lance somehow, I mean, let me back up. For you golf, for you golf fans out there, the Canadian Open just took place this past weekend, and we had the first Canadian win our national Open since 1954, 69 years. Nice. And that sets the stage for another sport that rich people play and love, Formula One. Can Lance maybe, I don't know, pull off a miracle victory at the Canadian Grand Prix 2023?
Yeah, big up to Nick Taylor and all of Golf Canada, the whole huge support. What a bomb from 72 feet.
Oh, baby.
Close out. And Tommy Fleetwood, hats off to you, mate. Incredible competitor. And let's see if Lance can pull off a bomb like that, man. It's going to take a lot, but the stage is set.
It is, and you know what? As you all know, we've been a little hard on Lance lately, but he's the kind of guy that he can go either direction depending on the result. I think his confidence was pretty low after having that unlucky start with Jeddah, and last week, a great P6 finish. And I think the confidence is going the other direction. It's coming back. He's a capable driver. We nag on him a little bit because maybe he didn't earn that spot in such a great car, but we also didn't expect the Aston Martin to be so competitive. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it would be pretty freaking cool. Because I'll tell you what, he's got a great personality. You know what? For the son of a billionaire, he's not so bad, all things considered. If you put a line of all the billionaire sons in the world, I'm looking at you, Succession, I think Lance would be up there as like one of the friendliest and, more complete human being.
Yeah, he had a great interview with Ted Kravitz where they went skiing together and got to really get some personal insight and see how like Lance likes to spend his time off track. So kind of endearing qualities and always been well-spoken, nice kid. He's always going to take flack for being the son of a billionaire and in the seat that he is. But, ultimately results, this is a results-based industry. So if they don't continue to chalk up some results, we might see Lance out of his own seat.
You never know. I mean, we posted a couple times on IG with Aston Martin being the focal point. Will Lawrence replace Lance if the results aren't there? It's about 50-50. Some of you were saying, yeah, you know what? Like, it's F1. It's the pinnacle of motorsport. If the results aren't there, you're going to get replaced. Look how cutthroat Red Bull is. Then on the other hand, half you are like, hey, Lawrence isn't going to take his son out of the sport. In fact, he bought Aston Martin so Lance could have that seat. Now, I don't know about that because he's taking every step to have one of the best teams, one of the most dominant teams coming into the next decade or so. I don't know. I mean, we're not going to revisit that because we talked about it a lot. But I think at the end of the day, Lance is a capable driver. And it is his father. And I don't think, like you said, Greg, he's going to have at least a few more years to kind of prove his worth.
Yeah, I mean, blood is thicker than water, but as we know in this sport, money talks, championships talk.
And oil is thicker than blood.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, I think time is of essence, really, because it is Formula One. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Another team that's trending up that we didn't expect to see after not so great of a start to the season, Alpine. You got two very capable drivers, of course, with Esty Bestie and Testy Esty. Shout out to Red Flags podcast coming up with that nickname for his kind of dual personality. And Pierre Gasly, race winner at Monza, very capable. And now it seems like the car is doing what it should. And I mean, they could be a sneaky pick this weekend.
Yeah, sneaky pick is right. Performance is there. Straight line speed is there. Quality times are getting better. Starting grid, obviously, positions better. So ultimately, that's going to turn into results. They're scoring good points this year. So, yeah, I expect a podium from Alpine coming up pretty soon. And Canada would be a great spot to do it, especially given it's predominantly a power track. So,
yeah. I mean, yeah, Ocon with that very impressive podium at Monaco. And I think Pierre's due.
Yes.
Now, we talked about this last week, Mike, and Greg and I. It's Greg and I against you. Look, he's feeling the heat right now because we're coming for him.
Fuck. Burning up.
Yuki got a penalty that took him out of the points. He was devastated. I'm not sure if you saw some of the stills from that weekend after the race. He was dejected, just sitting on the floor against a wall. You know, classic boy band shit. And
classic Formula One driver shit.
Classic Formula One. Classic Charles Leclerc shit. You know what it is.
George Russell.
All of them do it. Well, George was more on the hill after.
Yeah, I'm also thinking about after Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi, yeah.
Oh, that's true. Okay, you know what? It's maybe it's actually F1 that does that, and not boy bands. Maybe it's both. I've seen some crossovers. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Yuki has put together a great season. We've talked about it. He's in that crappy AlphaTauri, but he is putting that thing into the points almost every week. Should have been last week too. Can he recover after that?
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. He's more motivated than ever. I think that's going to make him take more chances, but calculated ones. He's got the skill. He's so fast. And now that he's had time to develop within the car, you're going to see that confidence grow, and that's going to be fueled by a little bit of rage, which we've seen benefit drivers in the past, but
especially
we've also
Yuki.
Exactly. Yeah, I think an aggressive Yuki is a better Yuki.
Yeah, I agree, Mikey.
Could we see him in that Red Bull seat next year?
Ooh, if this was like 3-4 years ago and we hadn't seen the Albon Gasly experiment, I would say yes in a heartbeat, just given Sergio's position as well.
Yeah.
Red Bull likes to always move forward. But given that, you know what I mean? I think that's going to largely depend on Sergio's performance. I can probably see him getting another 1-year deal. Should Yuki keep up his performances, he's definitely next in line for that seat.
Yeah, I think if things trend the way they have been this season, it should trend towards Yuki replacing Checo. But there's, as we said earlier, half the season to go. A lot can happen. And I'm sure Checo's going to be very motivated to keep that seat, realizing that Yuki's pretty hot on his heels.
Yeah. Checo's how old? Early 30s now?
Ooh, no, I think he's like 36. Yeah, I guess.
Is he? Hey, Suri, how old is Sergio Perez?
36, 37?
Series first appearance on the pod.
Oh, he's a 90.
He's born in
younger
90.
than us.
Jesus,
God damn,
33.
He's only 33, so he's definitely got a few, maybe even more good years left in him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's someone who peaked a bit later on, so I think he's got a bit more longevity than some of the other drivers. But hey, I mean, the results haven't been so great as of late. I think he's a kind of a streaky guy that runs on confidence, similar to Lance, and that confidence can go down, and then he just kind of really screws the pooch. But we'll see. I think realistically, if I had to put money on it, and folks, we've gone over this, I'm a terrible bettor, but you might want to take this one. Not Yuki 2024, not Trump 2024, but Yuki 2025.
Safe bet.
Safe bet.
Yeah.
Safe.
Unless Red Bull wants to make another power move, bring in another top driver. But no, they've always promoted from within. So Yuki's seat to lose.
Yeah, 100%. Another team trending up after a very strong double podium. It's Mikey's boys, George and Lewis. they've had some upgrades. They've had some side pods added to the side of those cars. And I mean, like we said last week, they've been trending up all year. And does that mean another strong performance in Canada?
Definitely a strong performance in Canada from both those drivers and the strong liveries that they're currently operating with the upgrades we've seen so far this season. As you said, Mercedes has definitely been trending up. I mean, Lewis, for him, he loves Canada.
I think he likes this track.
He loves
doesn't
Canada, and not just because of his results and his first career victory and whatnot. He actually enjoys every lap of this circuit. So look for that to give him a little bit of extra lap time there, a couple tenths. You know what I mean? So, and that could be the difference. At least getting a little closer to the Red Bulls.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis is such a technical driver as well. So few errors, so experienced in season. I think Canada is the perfect track for him to be able to make that push back. Champions Corner.
Wall of
Champions. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like that gives a sense of how complex and difficult it is to navigate. So yeah, somebody with Lewis's composure and experience, I think, is going to fare pretty well. That's why I'm a little nervous for an aggressive driver like Yuki on this racetrack.
That's fair. Short track too.
It's 77, 78 laps, I believe, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, every single race is 305 kilometers, but the laps are quite short. 77 is definitely at the higher end of total laps.
Yeah,
for races.
And just want to touch on what Mark would say, just want to touch on what Greg was saying there about the Wall of Champions and whatnot. And like what you were saying, Mark, yes, it's a power circuit, but it's also a very technical circuit, and it's a circuit that bites back. A couple chicanes that are sneaky, some high-speed corners and some low-speed corners coming out of high-speed braking as well, and onto the final straight there. We've seen some pretty big collisions, especially in Senna's corner, turn 1-2.
And Kubica.
Kubica down at the hairpin there. So
king of crashes.
Yeah. But credit to him for being able to maintain and stay in the sport.
I thought you were going to say credit to him for still being alive.
That rally accident,
if you look up the details of that, the guardrail ripped off and went through the car and missed him by inches.
Yeah, and he suffered significant damage to his hand, which limited him from potentially ever being able to hold a racing wheel or steering wheel ever again.
Some people say he was going to be a world champion.
He was primely positioned to, BMW Sauber, I believe, and Williams, I think.
Yeah, if this is your first time watching the Canadian GP, it's almost always a great race. It's a fun, fast, and like Mike said, technical track. And
picturesque.
Very picturesque on the island that was actually man-made, built for Expo 67. If you're familiar with the Canadian Heritage Minutes, that's one of my favorites.
Mine too.
All right, finally, we got to talk about Ferrari. And I'm not going to ask you whether they're going to do well or not. I'm going to ask you which laps will their engineers go over the race?
This is where we're at now?
I like this new segment.
That's where we're at. It's the new segment. It's the Ferrari fuck up. When is it going to happen this week?
Wow.
Lap 25.
Lap 25. Okay.
No.
No,
sorry, Greg.
Earlier.
Yeah, no, sorry.
It's got to be earlier.
That's just my mind. No, it's going to be lap 16 or 17. First pit stop.
Okay.
And Ferrari in the past was always like the team that everybody would be scared of. So when's Ferrari going to pit? What strategy they're going to use? Now Ferrari reacts to what everybody else does, and they react a couple laps too late, or they try and jump ahead a couple laps too early, like we saw with Carlos, like we've seen with Leclerc in the past this season. And they're literally, I've seen races, and Mark and I was talking about this. We're trying to find the footage. We're diving deep. They're the French guy that was one of their strategy guys.
Jean Todt.
Not Jean Todt.
Jean Todt.
He was a legend, actually, for
the
Ferrari.
Skinny guy who's going to Alfa Romeo?
This guy, yeah.
I forget his name.
In the technological age that we live in, it doesn't give me much confidence. And I'm a pen and paper guy for sure. I've got my notebook always. It doesn't give me much confidence when I look on a pit wall of a Formula One team, especially Ferrari, and I see their chief strategist flipping frantically through a post-it pad.
We're still looking for that clip.
We're looking for this
find
footage.
it.
And this is in an integral time. And Binotto is sitting there looking at him and saying, I need an answer now. And he's just there like, stressed. So if this is the type of people they're employing and the methodology that they're using, I say Ferrari is a long way off. So for me, it's going to be the first pit stop.
The first, wow.
Sorry for my long answer.
The mighty have fallen. So we got lap 25 for Greg and the first pit
16,
stop, lap
17.
16-ish for Mike.
I think it'll be good weather. I think everybody's going to
Yeah.
start on the softs. And so it'll be a short stint to the first pit stop. So 2-stop race.
Okay, I'm gonna go in the middle of you, around lap 20.
Okay.
I was thinking about going bold and like before the race, qualify.
Yeah.
Like,
You know
who
what?
kn-
That's probably the right answer.
Do you know what it probably is? Because with the way tire selection works this year now, like, yeah, you get fresh sets. You can, and it's all tabulated during practices and qualifying and whatnot. So they could burn up some sets to get a higher quality position, and then run out of tires in the race.
That sounds pretty Ferrari.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Sorry, boys in red, boys and girls in red, the Italian stallions, they are donkeys these days. Very shameful.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Not
Look,
prancing horses.
Not prancing horses. Not even close. All right, folks. It's time for the podium picks. Greg's going to go first. So let us have it.
Well, they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. That's going to be the theme of my picks for the podium.
Love it.
As I've bet against Max Verstappen in the last, I think, probably 2 or 3 times we've done this, I'm going to do it again.
Woo!
And I'm hoping maybe it's the Wall of Champions in quali that has something to say about it potentially.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe it gets a little too aggressive. But I'm going to go with Lewis Hamilton for the nostalgia, for his command of the course, and for him probably having Shakira in tow with him this weekend again.
Shakira,
We'll get to
Shakira.
So, yeah, I'm going to go Lewis, Max, and Carlos.
Lewis, Max, and Carlos.
Deadly picks.
Okay. I like it. Yeah, I mean, you still put Max second, so it's not so crazy. And a sneaky Ferrari. So you're telling me that Ferrari's going to mess up Charles's race, not Carlos's.
Poor Charles.
Poor Charlie.
Charles, for me, has been his own worst enemy this season, maybe a little too. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just it piles on. We're not talking like race after race. We're talking year after year now. And that sucks. I mean, you know, I saw some memes. It was like some like OnlyFans model was being interviewed, and she was like, they were like, what is your son gonna think about this? And she was like, well, no, you know what? He's gonna be fine. If he needs to cry, he can cry in his Ferrari. Yeah. And people in the F1 community were like, oh, just like Charles Leclerc, just like Chucky.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't mind crying in a Ferrari, if I'm honest.
I'll cry every day if I get to start one of those up.
I do cry every day. God. Good tears, folks. Tears of joy. All right, Mikey, podium time, baby.
Max is running away with this one for sure. He's form is top. Livery's top. So yeah, P1 for sure, Max.
Yeah.
Man. Like Mercedes coming on strong for sure. I don't think Aston Martin is I think that's more of a 5th, 6th, 4th, 5th kind of result. So yeah, Max, Lewis, Carlos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
We like Carlos this week. I mean, we love his hair.
Yeah, the flow is on point.
God damn. What do I do?
Instagram loved his flow too.
Looking like John Stamos out there.
Such a great reel.
Yeah. Thanks, folks, for the love. I mean, well, for the love of Carlos. For the love of Carlos.
For the love of Carlos. I
God.
love it. Yeah.
There you go. That's going to be the name of his memoir.
That's going to be the name of any time I say for the love of
God.
Carlos.
Carlos is a god. He's
certainly
a
got the
Spanish
flow.
God. Some of the commenters on
Jesus
Instagram were
flow.
saying he is he's a Disney prince.
Ooh.
Fair comment.
Right?
Any comparisons to a Disney movie? I've seen some done before. They're hilarious. Aladdin?
Ooh, that is the answer. I don't know if we're getting in trouble for that, but that's the answer. Okay.
Podium picks, Mark.
Podium picks for me. All right. I really want to get them right this week. So I'm not going to go too off the board. I know it. I like being risky. I like making crazy calls. I want to put Lance in that top spot.
I was just going to say, it's going to be Stroll, isn't it?
You going to do it?
But I need bragging points. So I'm going to go Max 1, Lewis 2, and Fernando 3.
Okay.
And those are my picks. I don't know. You know what? I feel bad. We all kind of
similar
left Checo out. Whoops. But you know what? He's been trending down.
Yeah.
And Lewis has been trending up. And I mean, I don't think historically Checo has done that well in Canada.
Yeah, he's generally been top 10, but I don't think he's ever won there.
No, he's never won. I don't know. I mean, he may have a podium. Let me know. I'm just maybe speaking out of my bum right now, but that does not matter. I'm going Max, Lewis, Fernando, because I want to put this on Instagram after the race and be like, guess what, folks? Your boy got it.
I was right.
I was right. Hire me, F1 Nation or FanDuel or whatever, one of the million betting apps that exist right now.
That we're not allowed to use in Nova Scotia.
That we're not allowed to use. You know what? That might not be a bad thing, but that's a whole other podcast. So that's what it is. That's what I'm going to take. I feel kind of dejected because it's such a boring podium. Not really. I mean, for our boy Fernando's on it, so it's not that boring. But he's been he's been P3 so much this year. I'd love to put him in that top spot. But I think, Mike, I think you're right. I think Mercedes has officially kind of overtaken Aston Martin with performance and with driver form. So I don't think, like I said, they're going to give up that second place in the constructor. It's going to be Red Bull, Mercedes, and then maybe Aston Martin or Ferrari.
Yeah, a little Alpine in the mix. Ooh. Yeah, maybe a Haas get a top 10.
Ooh, they do have that straight line speed.
Don't forget about Yuki in there too, right?
Yeah, so you never know. Yeah. Can't wait for it. All right, Greg's got to roll out. Thanks so much for actually staying overtime. God, we love you. The F1 Casuals, show some love for Greg.
Go. Get him, Gregor.
Hey, looking forward to watching on Sunday.
You know it.
Actually, you know what? Good time to say maybe we'll do like a live watch of some sort. I don't know. We got to look into our schedules this Sunday. The race, I believe, is at 3 p.m. Atlantic, maybe 4. Should probably know that right now. But we'll figure it out, folks. We'll let you know. Check out our socials. We'll be posting some stuff later in the week.
And on that point, too, first weekend featuring Will Arnett and Daniel Ricciardo as a tandem in a Manning Brothers style live commentary broadcast. So I think one of us should probably watch that version.
Right.
Real interesting.
Does anyone have ESPN? Anyone got a sign in? I think we need a VPN for that potentially.
Potentially as well, yeah.
We'll
I got to.
Although they're promoting it as like,
yeah, of course, yeah. Greg's like, oh, I'm the one in America, guys.
It's not like you're in Portland or anything.
Awesome. All right, cool. Yeah, keep us posted and stay in touch. Check out it'll be on Instagram. You can't really post anything on the other ones. We'll let you know what Sunday's like, what the schedule's going to be, and we'll be here watching that all weekend. All right, folks. Greg had to leave us as we just gave that nice little farewell. He, I don't know, it's draft stuff, I think, probably.
USA hockey camp, I believe, for
always
their
scouting.
Region.
Always be scouting.
Yeah.
That's how it works in
ABS.
In junior hockey. ABS breaks. All right. Time for a little bit of sprint to the finish line. We've got some more really cool F1 Academy news. They are launching the Discover Your Drive, which is an initiative that is aimed at increasing the female talent pool in motorsport, both on and off the track. Now, this is what we talked about, how it's a numbers game. Like the reason that you see male domination in this sport is because the talent pool of females is so small because it was aimed at males. It's been a male-dominated sport. Like we said, we've gone over this a million times, like a broken record. Most sports dominated by males because sexism is just fucking built in to the goddamn human experience. We're trying to turn that around, And this initiative is going to help with that. Susie Wolf, very proud of this initiative. She was the one who announced it. Obviously, she's the managing director of F1 Academy. There's kind of like a 4-pronged attack for this. Maybe not attack. Maybe that's not the right word. But Approach. Another A word that we love. So we have youth engagement, inspiring and educating the next generation of girls. Talent identification, unearthing and supporting the stars of the future. Participation and progression, growing and developing the talent pool on and off the track. And community, creating a network to enhance opportunities across motorsport. So these are all initiatives that have been part of the male side of every sport for as long as you can remember. Scouting, setting up academies, all of the above. And it's fantastic that that's what we're seeing happen in F1 Academy. We still got a bone to pick in terms of the broadcasting, but for this to come out and then, looking towards 2024, hopefully full broadcast, it seems like, unlike the W Series that didn't really have sponsorship and it was maybe not planned out as well as it could have been, F1 Academy is here to stay.
Excellent. That's a great initiative from Susie and her team. Let's start them out young. You know what I mean? Let's provide that infrastructure and the ability for them to get into karts as young girls.
Yeah.
Also exposes them to potential sponsorships, which is definitely going to help bridge that gap from karting into higher classes and into the academy, and also that allows the organization to identify talent as well. So it seems very well thought out. Obviously modeled after the male dominated aspects that we've seen in the past. Let's get more females into karts and eventually into academy and hopefully into F1.
Exactly. And I'm glad you said karting because this initiative is starting this year. I mean, they're not waiting till next year. We're kicking it off this summer. And it'll start with a F1 Academy Discover Your Drive Karting UK. It'll be operated by Motorsport UK and Team Sport. Girls aged 8 to 12 with karting potential to be identified at Team Sport venues. So you have that scouting aspect. And you have girls to be supported in competing at the Motorsport UK sanctioned British Indoor Karting Championships.
Excellent. Yeah.
Great to see.
Big event.
And there's going to be more news soon. So we'll let you know. We'll keep tabs on that. But yeah, just a fantastic initiative, something that's been in place for the development of male drivers. And now to see that with female drivers, all you haters are going to see that there's going to be a female in F1 eventually.
Very, very exciting. Can't wait to see how this all develops and the talent that comes out of that pool.
Yeah, absolutely. F1 23, the game, brought to you by everyone's favorite corporation, EA Sports.
It's in the game.
It's in the game. Electronic Arts. They actually were voted like worst corporation in America multiple years. And that's ahead of the actual worst corporations like the banks. We won't get into that. We're just here to talk about the game. It's not supposed to come out till the 16th, but I got the Champions Edition. Whoops, it definitely wasn't $120 for early access and some other shit that I don't even care about. I just wanted early access.
Yeah, I just want to play it tonight.
So it's actually out today for the F1 casuals. And if you are listening to this afternoon, Tuesday the 13th, we're going to be going live on Instagram. We're going to be doing a little Las Vegas racing. I know we were hating on the track because it's flat and probably boring, but the spectacle of it, the sights, the sounds, it's going to be pretty cool. Lando actually got early. Well, obviously, Lando got early access, and he was doing Vegas, and he said it was pretty cool. Mikey, you were saying that there's been great reviews in terms of the physics and the mechanics and the handling of the cars. I did a quick little Spanish GP this morning.
I didn't want to do testing.
Yeah, I almost clicked on Vegas, so I was like, no, I'm not going to do Vegas till I'm with Mikey in the studio. So I was like, does Spain have, the new, they got rid of that chicane for 23? They did.
Excellent.
It's way better, and the handling is completely different. A little bit of oversteer. That's what I noticed immediately. You really got to get off that corner as soon as you're done it. Words of the wise.
Interesting. Yep. Excited to give it a go.
Yeah, very excited. Like I said, we're going to be going live on IG later, and we're going to be hopefully giving you some good highlights of Vegas. Some news on the technical side. James Key has been named, well, not yet, for next year, the technical director of Alfa Romeo. He's replacing Jan Manchot. And Alfa Romeo, I didn't know this. You knew this. They are going to be the works team. So, like the AlphaTauri to Red Bull team for Audi when they enter F1 in 2026.
Yeah, correct. So Alfa Romeo is going to drop its sponsorship. Audi will step in and essentially be the feeder team for the Works team, which will be entering a couple years later on.
So it's because right, I forgot about that. Alfa Romeo is going to be the title sponsor for Haas,
right,
in 2026.
That's the shift. Yeah.
Alfa Romeo is just like leaving that team. So I guess it's Sauber again.
Yeah, well, I mean, Sauber is the ownership group.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And then Alpha would be the title sponsor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now Audi's coming in, but with larger investment than Alpha was capable of. So I imagine there's some, ownership. Maybe Peter Sauber is going to,
our boy.
Yeah, is going to be offloading some shares maybe to Audi for capital gains. Who knows? But either way, Audi's coming in as a brand new team and
an 11th team.
Yeah, formerly known as
Andretti.
Alfa Romeo will no longer exist until they go over to Haas, but that will obviously still be Haas on the grid.
So it'll be a brand because Audi will be the main team,
correct?
The leader, like Red Bull.
They call it like the Works team.
Yeah, the Works team. So we'll have a totally different name. Like Sauber could be in the name.
I'm curious. I imagine that that would be part of the deal if that ownership group remains in place with the current team. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Red Bull, AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri is has an ownership stake in that as well.
Right.
So yeah, probably a similar model.
There you go. Talks that AlphaTauri is going to get sold, but that is not the case.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
No, absolutely not. Bad news for all racing fans, as far as I'm concerned. Well, two-part. South Africa not going to get on the calendar. That means, I don't know how that means this, but Zandvoort and Spa will be alternating years in the Formula One calendar from 2024 on. That means we're not going to have Spa every other year for the foreseeable future. And that is absolute trash.
My favorite circuit. I'm bitterly disappointed. Zandvoort's been brought back for 4 years now, maybe 5, and that's that's a historical track as far as Formula One is concerned. That was brought back recently, but to divide the two, there's a couple other tracks on the calendar that I could see maybe replacing that, so to free up that Spa and Zandvoort are able to remain on the calendar annually. I'll leave your opinions, in my opinions, to myself.
I'm not going to leave mine. Like Circuit Paul Ricard is the worst track in the world, and everyone says it. Like I don't know, like how is this message not getting to the top?
Yeah, and the thing that's really like kind of bugging Mark and I is the fact that they're taking races away from purpose-built racetracks for city center tracks. London potentially coming up, Vegas obviously, Miami another parking lot in my opinion. Jeddah I'm a fan of, but fair. And again, just to allude what you're saying, like flat tracks, no undulations, not using the natural landscape and stuff like that. Like I'm a huge Portimao fan, so Portugal, the roller coaster, and I think it adds to the excitement, especially when you throw weather in the mix. So
100%.
I mean, it's the commercial direction that Liberty Media is taking Formula One, and it's extremely frustrating for purists like us.
Yeah, and I get it. You're adding street tracks, and a lot of that's going to be flat racing. But San Francisco. Well, that would be crazy. Yeah. But Bono from YouTube said it best. I want some like Spa. It's one of the best tracks to race in the game. It's one of the best tracks. I guess maybe they're just scared because the weather systems that typically run through that area are very wet. We saw a year or two ago, the race didn't even take place, and we awarded, for some reason, Nikita Mazepin the fastest lap, his claim to fame for his disappointing and abysmal F1 career. But it also is maybe a money issue.
Yeah, I mean, I'm scratching. They just put in a huge new grandstand at Eau Rouge,
Right,
and they were making that area much more safer, increasing the runoff area as well, because we've obviously seen a number of events happen there over the last decade. Tragic.
Very tragic.
Yeah, so I'm curious, and also the fact that they're both European dates is a little more confusing to me because proximity, they're very close to each other. So yeah, I think it's just they want to. Everybody's complaining about the calendar getting too big, and Formula One Liberty Media is pushing for more commercial venues, let's say, such as in the States,
Oh
like
my
we're
God.
seeing.
We're going to have like 10 US races by 2030.
Yeah, not a fan. I mean, I'm all about, this is a global sport. And, obviously Liberty Media being an American company, they want to focus a lot of that and grow that fan base as the DTS wave and everything that we've seen. So, but, at sacrificing some of these classic tracks, these iconic tracks that are actually produce the best quality races, for me, and I know yourself, it's again, just to reiterate, very, very frustrating.
It's a weird one because we talked about how, well, for me, I got into F1 because of Drive to Survive, obviously well aware of the sport, but really became a fan because of that. And at first it was like, okay, it's the spectacle. Like that's, it's the drama, it's the stories, it's the battles, blah, blah, blah. But eventually you become a fan for many years and you're like, well, I care about what happens on track more than anything. Now, I know we love talking about other things like Carlos Sainz's hair, etc., on the podcast because we're trying to get them views on social media. But at the end of the day, it's the tracks and it's the racing that's going to bring people back for a long time.
Yeah, definitely. And those two tracks provide tons of entertainment, quality racing, unpredictable results at times. Also, then you throw weather in the mix. And that's what Formula One's all about. So...
Damn right. So we'll see how that goes with the alternating. That's brand new news, so I don't know if there's been backlash or what. It seems like the media is going to do what they want, and everyone else can fuck off. Here's a funny little story here, and you brought this to my attention before we started recording. Red Bull, obviously dominant as ever this year, they took a bit of inspiration from the Williams vehicle. And I guess, so as part of an effort to improve the dominant RB19, and you say to yourself, improve? Like, what needs to be improved upon? Well, I'll tell you what. If you want to learn about the man behind the vehicle, Adrian Newey, he was just interviewed on, I believe it was the Red Bull podcast, the new one. It's called Talking Bull. And one of the things he said, because the interview was like, do you ever just get like a little smug about like how dominant you guys are? And he said, the second you become smug, the second you have that attitude, that's when people start catching up.
Yeah, and I think that's been Red Bull's always approach and Newey's as garagistas. Yeah, not every part of the livery is always going to be working as best as it could be or should be. Yeah. So that's what Formula One's all about. We've touched on this before with other teams about taking inspiration, we'll say. And in this case, it just so happens to be that the leading team in the championship is taking inspiration from a lower performer, we'll say, at Williams. But hey, that Williams has been slippery in a straight line. And I think, maybe Red Bull and the team there have identified some lost lap time. And if they can be more slippery in a straight line, then why not take inspiration from Williams?
Why not win by 30 seconds instead of
23 seconds? Yeah, not good enough. Yeah,
not good enough. They made some modifications to their edge floor in the upper corner of its diffuser head, and that's hilarious because we made fun of the Williams floor after we saw the underbody, very smooth like a boat.
Yeah,
but it turns out that's why their straight line speed was so strong. So I think Red Bull took the best of the both worlds. They have a very detailed bottom floor, and they mixed that with a little bit of maybe the simplicity of the Williams floor, And lastly, just found out about this the other day. Another fellow F1 podcast, The Gravel Trap, they posted this on their Instagram. There's an Ocean's 11 prequel happening. Yeah, they have not sucked dry that IP just yet. It's going to take place in 1962 at the Monaco GP, We've got a heist at Monaco, folks, starring Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling of Barbie fame. And the whole idea is there's going to be a heist that takes place on a yacht. There's no other background to it. It's probably just announced because of all the F1 fandom that's been happening lately.
Yeah, and the race just happened there.
And the race just happened there, of course. This is not the first time Monaco and Ocean's whatever, the Ocean's franchise have done something sort of together. Back in 2004, the Jaguar entry supposedly put a not 4,000 folks, that'd be pointless, a $400,000 diamond in the front nose of one of the Jaguars. That Jaguar crashed.
Right.
And the diamond was never to be seen again.
Wow.
So this actually isn't the first time I've heard about this. There was an F1 podcast from the Ringer podcast network, an American podcast network from a few years ago now, called F1 on the Edge. And they did little mini episodes. Well, not mini, they were full episodes on some, interesting things that have happened in F1. There was a time when a driver actually got kidnapped. Do you know about that?
Really? I did not know about that.
Check it out. It's some very cool stories. F1 on the Edge, available on Spotify, because The Ringer is an exclusive Spotify podcast network, as far as I know. That may have changed since 2021, but that's beside the point. They did an episode on this, the diamond heist, the $400,000 diamond heist, diamond never to be seen again. And then today, reading this article, apparently that's all a lie. And it was just a promo for Ocean's 11.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'd be choosing a little more reliable vehicle than the Jaguar. That did not finish too many races.
It became the Red Bull, though. So
fair enough. Yeah. But as his time as Jaguar. But yeah, no, that's hilarious promo. Genius. And I would like to see that actually replicated. I could see them releasing the movie around the time of the Monaco GP or something, or leading up after it or something like that, and them pulling a stunt with one of the teams.
Oh yeah, obviously Monaco is
it's crazy though.
I know, sets the tone for stars. Obviously, we talk about Miami and Vegas, the stars will be out, but Monaco is the OG spectacle. And yeah, you're definitely going to see Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie at a Monaco GP race probably next year.
Probably film there next year then. Yeah, so it's only been announced as far as production.
Yeah,
things like
that.
Even.
It's probably not even pre-production. It's probably still doing principal. Probably not even doing principal photography yet.
Do they have a script?
I don't even know what that means. I don't even know if they have a script.
Strike.
Yeah. You don't need a script with Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling,
also
right?
Also true. Yeah, also true.
So that'd be cool. Look out for that. No date announced. Probably 2025, if we're honest, because it was just announced. All right, folks, that is it for the Canadian GP preview. We're going to be back next week with a review show of everyone's favorite Grand Prix, as far as I'm concerned. Like we said earlier, we're going to be hopefully doing something on Sunday during the race, depending on our schedules, maybe a live watch. We'll keep you updated. Check out our Instagram for all of that info over the next few days. And of course, before we go, I got to remind everyone, if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, hit that subscribe button. Do it for the algorithm. We want to get people out there knowing about this podcast. That's why we're on social media every day. It's a lot harder to push podcasts on the platforms. They really haven't figured out the algorithm. They haven't figured out organic growth on podcast platforms.
Yeah, tough.
Maybe there's something to say about that, keeping it unlike YouTube, where you're just recommended the most random shit ever and you actually have to search out your favorite podcast. But regardless, if you're listening, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and leave a review. Hey, let us know what you thought of the episode. Let us know what you think of Jacques Villeneuve, if you'd like.
We'd love to hear all about it.
We'd love to hear all about it. If you're watching us in living color on YouTube, Mikey, what do you got to do?
You got to subscribe, smash that button, get your bell on, and drop a like. And don't forget to hit us up in the comments. We always love hearing from our casual listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. Unlike podcast platforms, there is a comment section. And yeah, we know the YouTube comment section sometimes can be a bit of a debacle, but not ours, because no one says anything. So if you're watching us, just drop a line. I don't know, say something controversial. It doesn't matter. Just don't get banned. That's all we're asking. And If you're on social media like we are every single day of our lives, check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or YouTube Shorts. We're posting stuff from the episodes, little mini clips, whatever it may be, and some other stuff. I mean, we're going to be probably posting some F123 game footage later today. Check it out. It's going to be great. We're building a sim rig in the studio. Mikey's got pedals and a wheel, and we're going to figure out how to make that work this afternoon. Check it out. But until then, folks, it's lights out.
See you on the grid.